Hey, and welcome to this episode of EST, the podcast for established church leaders by established church leaders. My name is Josh.
My name is Sam, and I'm proud to be an American.
I am too. I like being American. It's pretty great. I got one of those little personality traits. I know so many people that love to travel. They want to go to Greece or they want to go to France or wherever. I don't. If it's around the world, I think that there is some sort of alternative within the 48 that will be just fine by me. I don't even want to go to Hawaii or Alaska. That's how content I am with just our little nation.
Just the lower 48, huh?
And it's not even saying that it's superior. I'm sure there are more beautiful things around the world, but this one's here and it's ours and I like it. I don't even want to eat ethnic food or anything, so stop trying to make me. I don't make other people eat my food, so don't make me eat their food. So how American does that sound?
Man, I mean, you almost sound xenocentric, but I know you're not.
But it's the reverse. It's lazy. It's not really like it's not superior. It's just I like it.
Yeah, it's so funny. I don't feel superior. I'm just really lazy about all these cultures.
Yeah, and I don't want to fly. My stomach hurts when I eat things. So yeah, nope. This is me.
Oh man, that's good. That's good.
We're
Yeah,
gonna
we've
talk
got a
about
great.
an Americana sort of struggle within leading established churches. Something that affects a lot of people is that blend between Americana and the United States, and our religion. So it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it will. And happy July 4th, everyone.
Happy July 4th.
It's the Independence Day holiday, and I am grateful for the rebellious souls that got us to where we are today. America, let's do it.
America.
But before we jump in, certainly want to a proud American, Boyd Pelly at Church Teams. He loves his country, and he loves the church. So you should give him a call. est.church is where you can get the offer. What is the offer? Well, it's for church management software. He does systems. He does giving. He does check-in. They're all of what they offer is what you need. So if you need help with software issues in the church, if you don't have systems in place, Boyd is the one to call. And I don't know that he'll pick up because it's a company, but maybe he will. I don't know. I know he's got a great team that services their clients extraordinarily well, and they serve churches well. So go to est.church to get the offer if you think you need a change with your church management software system, or if you don't have one and you want to get started, they're the place to start. So thank you, Boyd. Thank you, Church Teams, est.church for the free trial offer. All right. So have you ever encountered a controversy in the church involving the placement of the American flag in the sanctuary? That's an obvious one. I know it's like almost overdone, and I feel like this is almost clickbait of a topic, but I don't care if you're listening. Hey, it worked. But have you ever? I know that people know that it's a controversy. Have you yourself ever experienced it? Let me ask that.
Yes, twice. Yeah, both of my previous pastorates. This caused a little bit of just a hiccup. There was one gentleman in both churches that wanted the flag on the stage. Now, neither of those churches nor this church that I'm pastoring now it's not like I removed it. It wasn't there when I got there. And apparently I was getting the leftovers reheated controversy. Because, particularly in the last church, that guy was just mad at the previous pastor and wanted me to fix it, put it back on the stage, and I did not do that. So, I have faced this controversy a couple of times. How about you? How many scars do you got on this one?
I don't have any because I'm totally cool with the flag being in the sanctuary, and every church I've ever pastored has had it there. And so it doesn't bother me. I'm sure it's collecting. They're all collecting dust right where they were when I got to the church. They're still there. So for me, I understand the arguments, and I understand why people feel the way they feel about removing the flag. I'm just not there with them. Like, it's like, I respect your opinion. I get it. I understand it. I'm just not there with you. If I go to a different country and I see that country's flag in a church, I don't think anything of it. It's like, I'm in that country, so they have their own flag in there. What does it matter? And I know that this is a bit heated for a lot of people. And there's some, and I want to be fair to the other side, just because I'm not with you doesn't mean you're wrong, right? I mean,
Right. And I believe the same.
Yeah, people have some really strong convictions about this, and it's usually centered around the kingdom of God. This whole, this idea of what is the kingdom of God? What are we really pledging allegiance to? And hey, I'm right there with you. Like, I'm a kingdom first person. We put, I have more in common with a believer in Iran than I do an unbeliever in America, because we're brothers and sisters in Christ. So I get that. And I understand why people don't even want to pledge allegiance to the flag. I just think that it's one of those things, like, you feel these convictions that for a lot of people who don't sit down and think through the arguments, it doesn't make sense to them. Like, that it's almost like you're making an issue, a mountain out of a molehill. You're making it's a solution in search of a problem, sort of thing. Like, hey, we got to get the American flag. Got to get the American flag out of here, because don't want people pledging the allegiance to the wrong thing. We pledge allegiance to God. And I'm just like, I think if I were to ask people in the church what's first, God or country, though both are important, they would say it's not country and God. It's God, then country.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you have any thoughts to this?
Actually, exactly the same thoughts in reverse. And maybe it's because I have faced the controversies the way that I did, meaning I've not taken a church that had the flag or flags plural, meaning some churches will have an American flag on one side and then a Christian flag on the other.
We do.
Here in the great state, you may have an American flag. The biggest flag would be the Texas flag, and then you have a Christian flag over to the side. And we probably
don't have a Texas. We don't have a Texas flag.
I will send you one, my brother. I'll send you a good one, and so a quality one. In Texans, we probably have a greater danger of having a loyalty to something greater than the kingdom outside the United States. So I think it is I like what you said there. It's a solution in search of a problem. So you even alluded to it a little bit there. If I go to another nation and I'm in that nation and they have that flag on their stage, that doesn't bother me because you're in that nation. And I agree, but that's sort of just a redundant, not necessary thing. Nobody is walking into West Bradenton or First Louisville or Church and going, oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, we are in the United States. I forgot that. Thank you for the reminder of my locale. So I would push back a little bit on that. I don't think the flag, those who are passionate about putting it on or taking it off, I don't think that they're arguing about a location. I do think that they are arguing about a loyalty and a deeper loyalty. I think most people who are extremely passionate about having the flag on the stage and they go too far, and I'm not saying everybody does, but some people go too far, I think they would have a problem if they were to go to another nation, and maybe not one of our allies, but if they were to go to Russia and there was a Baptist church in Russia and the Russian flag were flying, or if they were to go to Iran or something like you said there. So I do think that there is a loyalty issue at play. I also would challenge people to think, do you think the apostles would have been comfortable with the Roman flag in their worship gatherings? And I don't know anybody that would say, well, sure. I think most people would say they probably would be uncomfortable with that. But their response is often, yeah, but Rome was such a bad country. I don't know. I think Rome with the peace of Rome and the law of Rome would be pretty similar to living in a United States, sort of, as far as like protection and legalities and those sort of things. Not
so
as far as
you're saying the liberals would throw Christians to the lions in the United States if they were allowed.
I think that people, yeah. I mean, I think
that's
that
a joke for anyone
yeah.
that's like about to turn me off. Or I don't know, maybe you're like turning it up now that I said that.
Right, yeah. Well, what I'm saying is I don't think that there's a group of people in Well, to be honest and fair, I'm sure there are some Americans that would want to throw Christians to the wolves. I get that, or to the lions. Um, However, it's not whether or not I think that. My question is those who are just God and country, and we're using God and country as almost a kind of mindset. Those who are God and country, um, I think they think that the liberals would throw Christians to the lions. And if that's the case, then you're attaching something to something else. So I kind of want to be clear because we're talking about very nuanced. We're talking about something very philosophical. I may have members at First Baptist Church Louisville that I do not yet know that would prefer to have the United States flag on our stage. We don't have that currently. And what I want to be clear is I don't think I don't think your preference is a sin at all. I think that we probably also have members who would prefer it not be on the stage. I don't think that's a sin either. So since it is somewhat controversial and definitely not necessary, how about we just keep it as it is? And so if I was to go into, I do think in some settings, I would strongly consider it under, like, if I was in a military town where you've got a large amount of military personnel. I think that you're culturally exegeting the community. If you're in a melting pot, large urban context like we are, with several nationalities represented, I think it might cause issues there. And it's not a hatred towards the United States. It just might cause some issues. And my biggest question is, I never want to communicate the idea that you have to be an American to be a Christian. Nor do I want to conflate the idea that good Americans, or to be a good Christian, you have to be a good American. Like a bad American would be a bad Christian. And so I don't want to conflate those ideas. At the same point, I'm extremely proud to be an American, extremely blessed to be a Christian and a Texan, and and a Baptist for that point. So I have very clear identity markers here. I just don't feel like they need to be necessarily intertwined.
Yeah, that's a good word. So let's talk about why. Why is this so controversial? And I think it really gets to the issue of symbols and how symbols are powerful.
That's true.
The pulpit, the look of the pulpit, and what kind of pulpit you use. We all know, in the grand scheme of the kingdom of God, it's completely irrelevant whether you're using a music stand or a gigantic wooden pulpit. Maybe I'm speaking in hyperbole. We don't all know that, because I think that there are some who believe that the sermon is better if it's behind a gigantic wooden pulpit.
Oh,
it's the
I've
same.
seen their tweets. Yeah,
It's the same sermon. But the symbol does have an impact, and the American flag is certainly one of the more notable symbols in our culture. Mm-hmm. So, and then this has been controversial long before the whole kneeling thing with the NFL, right? This was a controversy that preceded. Was it Colin Kaepernick? I don't really follow the NFL too much, but he kind of made a statement.
Was the face of it, Colin Kaepernick for San Francisco.
So this is something that predates the Colin Kaepernick issue, but I think that exacerbated the discussion in some ways, because that symbol, the American flag, like I genuinely just view it as a unifying symbol. Like, whoever you are as an American, we're all together in this. Like, let's put aside our differences as Americans, and let's be together. Now I know others don't think that. Others would there are some who I disagree with, but they genuinely believe it's a symbol of oppression. And I'm like, no. I get why you're saying that. I mean, yes, we got some things wrong. Slavery, kind of a big deal. Civil rights, kind of a big deal. There are things our country has done wrong, certainly. I just don't view the symbol. I know our nation's done some things wrong. I just don't view the symbol as a bad symbol or as a symbol of oppression. But I think some do, and that's really put people on sides here, and and it's unfortunate. It's, in my view, unnecessary. But I think that has exacerbated this discussion a little bit, and has caused some people to be even more agitated, one way or the other.
Yeah. I also, you alluded to it earlier with the kingdom discussion. I do like the idea that within these walls, we are part of a kingdom that is, and I understand theologically outside the walls as well, but we are part of a kingdom. This is a gathering of people that are a part of a kingdom that has long outlasted and will long outlast the United States and is much, much more powerful than any human nation. So I like that. I like kind of keeping that distinct kind of clarity there. Now, at the same time, you know, I make my sons stand up and put their hand over their heart when we do the national anthem at ballparks and fields like that. There is no sitting down during the national anthem. We respect the flag. We respect military. We respect the United States. I don't have a beef with saying the Pledge of Allegiance because in my mind it's always been I pledge right up to the line of the kingdom. And so I'm an American. I'm a Texan. And ultimately, though, I am a Christian. And if those two things conflict, then I'm going with Christ. And so I think that kind of line of clarity there is not to at all cheapen the United States. And I hope that, if somebody's listening and if you were military personnel or you're passionate about this, I hope that's not what you're hearing us say. We agree. The United States is pretty fantastic. We like it. We also admit some of the faults to it. But even at its best and even at its most perfect state, it's still far short to the kingdom of Christ. And so that's our ultimate allegiance during that 1 hour. And I find it to be, sort of, there are some things to think through. If you are upset that the NFL players are not standing during the anthem, I've watched hundreds of NFL games with different people. I've never once seen them stand while the anthem is being played on our television. So it's not just the anthem. There's something else layered under there that I think that we would need to think through before we get too upset about it.
I don't watch the NFL, so I'm glad I don't have to chime in on that particular issue. Yay, yeah. Baseball. Yay, baseball.
Y'all do the anthem over there, baseball too?
Yeah, so I'm with you. My children learn to respect the flag, respect military, and to love their country. And I would hope that kids anywhere in any other country would be taught the same thing for the loyalty to their country. I think that there is something special about that. Now, we say that knowing ultimately we're all part of the kingdom of God as believers. But let me ask you a question. Let's get really practical because it's summertime. Vacation Bible School. Yay or nay on saying the Pledge of Allegiance at Vacation Bible School?
I'm fine with it. I really am. It's I'm okay with it. I'm not real sure. Sitting here, I was just wondering whether or not we are going to do that this summer because I have not been to a Vacation Bible School here at First Louisville. So I'm fine with it. Pledge to the Bible, pledge to the American flag, pledge to the Christian flag. And I don't know if you know this, but in most schools in Texas, there's a pledge to the American flag, then there's the pledge to the Texan flag. And so
no, I did not know that.
Yeah, that's a morning tradition in many of the schools. I know my kids, the schools that they were at before moving back, did that. But yeah, I'm totally fine with it because I think it's the parents, and like you said, if you were to ask most of your members, nobody's going to conflate that. They're like, yeah, of course, Christ is first, and then we pledge to these other things. I don't even know that people understand what Pledge of Allegiance, those three words, really truly mean.
I pledge allegiance to the state of Florida and for the weirdness for which it stands.
Hey,
that's what we'd say in Florida.
Did you know they did a study for the most normal states in the United States? They did something like they just leveled everything out, and Florida was like number 5.
No, that's a bad study.
Well, Illinois was the most normal. I'll try to find it because it was kind of funny.
Illinois, really, including Chicago.
That's what
Seriously?
they said. But when all 30 variables were given weighted index, Illinois beat out Florida, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and Michigan for the most
What was the
normal.
weirdest state?
I don't know, but it was a census. They were done, let's see,
Iowa. Iowa's
30
the weirdest state.
socioeconomic factors: race, religion, income, education, jobs, and social issues. Anyways, um,
Anyone that
it was,
watches the news knows that we're not right down here in Florida.
yeah,
Like
something's wrong. It's the heat.
something's just crazy down
It's
there.
the heat. How do you? Obviously, if you have if a flag on the stage, then you're going to be okay with the pledge at VBS.
Yeah, I don't think we do it. Not, but it's not. We're not making a statement one way or the other. I'm trying to remember. Is that even something we do at our VBS? I'm fine with it. If my children's minister came to me and she was like, "Hey, we're gonna do the pledge this year," I'd be like, "Sure, fine. Doesn't matter to me." So I don't really care one way or the other. To me, a ball game is like an appropriate occasion because there's a tradition there when it comes to, the national anthem. We don't really pledge allegiance at a ball game, but there's that tradition there. We just don't have that tradition at VBS. If your church has that tradition of, yeah, we've always said the Pledge of Allegiance. The kids. It's just kind of a unifying thing we do to kickstart VBS, and we do the Bible, and we do the Christian flag. I'd say just keep it going. If it's not an issue, don't make it an issue. If you don't do it and it's not an issue, don't make it an issue. It's not like you need to pledge allegiance before everything your church does. It's just what have you typically done, and if that's what you've typically done and you have no desire to change it, then just keep doing it.
I would encourage people. Here's how I like to handle this, because more of the controversy is those patriotic holidays. And in an ideal world, I wouldn't want. I'll just be honest with you, and I hope this doesn't make people upset. I'm just saying my preference. Your preference can be different. My preference would be that we wouldn't do any of the themed holidays, any of the Hallmark holidays, or any of the patriotic holidays during the worship gathering. I want to go all in on Jesus. And I don't mean that piously. I'm just saying that for the average Christian, they don't. This 1 hour a week is the 1 hour a week. If they go every week, that is all about Jesus. Now, your mattress store is going to be all about Memorial Day, and the parade is all going to be all about Veterans Day, and the restaurant's all about Mom's Day. I get that, and I'm kind of fine. I like that too. I mean, I'm waiting to buy a mattress for Memorial Day because that's when mattresses go on sale. So, I just kind of feel like you barely give Jesus a full dedicated hour the rest of your week. Why can't we just keep this one just about Jesus? And so, what I encourage people to do is just go all in on Jesus on Sunday morning. And then if you want to, you can do like a July 4th, church lake party, and let's go all in on America and wear your Americana stuff and that sort of stuff. Our moms got a little gift on the way out of the service, but largely the service was about Jesus. And thank you, moms. Hope you have a great day. Let's turn in our Bibles to the text, right? So I don't mean it in a pious way. I just mean it in sort of a, this is Jesus's hour. And so I just want to give it to Jesus. It's like if it was my wife's birthday and I take her out to dinner and then I spend the first 30 minutes congratulating our waiter on their birthday. And I gave them a gift. And, it's like, this is my wife's birthday. This is her birthday. So
that's the best and worst analogy I've ever heard. It's like,
Sundays
that is
are
such a
about
really
Jesus.
good, it's a really good argument. I just don't buy it.
Yeah, it was not going to happen. But
that was really
it's
good.
about
actually.
Jesus. So I'm with you. If it's not a thing, don't make it a thing. One way or the other. Just relax and it's not going to hurt anything.
I'm at the opposite end of the spectrum on this one. I like all the different things, the festivities, the cultural calendar. I know people who are big about the church calendar, and there's, I'm sure plenty of our listeners who are more on the liturgical background and they have the church calendar, and I think those are great things too.
Right.
If I grew up with that, I'd probably like it. But I kind of like the cultural calendar. I like the I always do a Christmas series at Christmas. I always do Mother's Day. I always do Father's Day. We've done July 4th sort of stuff at my church. And while your argument's good, and I think you make a really good point, I would say the flip side of that is we use cultural rhythms to capture people. So
Sure.
how do you get them there? Well, we use these cultural rhythms to get them in church so that they can hear about Christ.
Right.
Otherwise, if you're completely neglecting those things, they may not just show up at all.
Right.
So the argument can go both ways, and I think wherever you fall on this spectrum is valid. Just be intentional about it, be upfront about it, and don't wreck a church over these issues, particularly with the American flag. To me, that, man, if that's where you want to plant your flag, is on this issue, whew, good luck. Let me just say, one way or the other, good luck with that, because I think it's a needless battle. And that's about what we have time for. Josh, do you have any closing thoughts?
I do, but I don't really have time for them. But yeah, I think that I would just say that make sure, if you're saying this is the cultural rhythm, there are a lot of churches that have 5 or 6 patriotic holidays, and those, and some of them aren't even really national holidays; they're just made up holidays. But there are other holidays that happen throughout the calendar that people don't seem to care about, like Juneteenth here in Texas, or
well, that's a big deal in Texas. That's a Texas holiday.
It is, or Martin Luther King Jr. And so, I think that you got to be careful how much you go in on some of these holidays, and then you are making just as much a statement by ignoring some holidays as you are by overemphasizing other holidays. So that's kind of where I would encourage people to think through if you're going to use those natural cultural rhythms. But I'm with you. I like changing my illustrations. I'll use, a July 4th illustration. And so it's not an ignorance. It's not a deflating. It's not a stiff arm. It's just a rightful place. I think that's kind of where I put it, and I assume West B does the same thing, and most of our listeners do the same thing.
Yeah, that would be pretty close to what we do. But we do recognize, just for the record, we do recognize Black History Month. I don't, I try to shy away from recognizing individuals. But
because they carry a lot of baggage with them.
Yeah, but we do recognize Black History Month. And have done some things around that too. So to your point, if you are leaving out a segment of the culture with recognizing the cultural rhythms, that's a problem. We're only going to recognize these certain ones, not the other ones. Mm-hmm. That would be an issue. But hey, I think we've tackled the problem of the American flag.
Oh yeah, we solved it. Yeah.
So this should not be an issue anymore. Just send everyone to this particular podcast, and they will be convinced. And it won't be a controversy anymore. But hey, thank you to our sponsor, Church Teams. Go to est.church to get their free offer. They love serving churches. They would love to serve you. So give Boyd a call. Boyd Pelly is the co-founder. He leads it. Let him and his team know that we sent you. And again, est.church.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you next week. Peace.